Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to escape with feathers together now, and I'm going to run through what you're going to need, how to get started, and also some of the processes in cutting feathers. Get you practicing, making as many as you can, and perfecting the skills really. It's quite a simple thing, but it just takes time to get used to it, get your motor skills in place, and yeah, just practice with scissors, get loads of piles of feathers. And then we'll go into making the wings and constructing the owl itself. So the templates you've downloaded, or if you haven't yet, pop open the website and do so, are 2 sheets. So you've got one with the bodies on and the wings, like this one, and then you've got one which is actually all the feathers, so the main flight feathers, primaries and secondaries, all lined up. So you need both sheets. If you've only got one, pop back and grab the other one as well, and then you'll be able to make the whole owl. And what you're going to need as well is obviously scissors. So the scissors I use took me a while to find, but they're a nice comfy pair with a short blade. I find that really useful, but it's all down to comfort. It's not so much about having a small pair of scissors, because you think about fine detail, you think a small pair of scissors would help. It doesn't actually. I find a nice sort of medium-sized blade really helps with control and the action you're going to need. I only ever use really the very bottom of the scissors, so right in the hinge here. I don't really use the tip, and it's just a repetitive action again and again and again and again. So scissors wise, try and find a pair that you think will not kill your hand from hours and hours of cutting. And you might be surprised, you'll think one's really comfy, an hour or so in you'll get a couple of blisters. So practice a bit, see which ones suit your hand best, and then go from there. Next, what you're going to need is actually paper. Reach down here and grab some. So I've got a variety of colours here. Paper I use is Fabriano Tiziano pastel paper. It's 160 GSM. I find it's got a good texture, it's got a nice strength to it. It takes paint really well as well, which is quite important when you come to paint your pieces afterwards. Any paper you have lying around is going to be absolutely fine. I understand we can't go to shops at the moment and we can't really get art supplies, so anything you've got lying around, use. And I think that's why paper art's so good, it's so accessible. People can just pick it up, pair of scissors, some paper, and you're good to go. So paper wise, grab as much as you can. And colours as well, you've got to think about painting on top of the paper. So if you go too bright, well it depends if you want a bright owl really. I tend to go for a colour that's medium, so I can play the levels when I come to paint, so I can paint the shadows, I can paint the highlights, and really add the details afterwards. But other than that, you're going to need some tracing paper as well. And this is to trace all the main shapes of the feathers to get them the right shape and size, so then you can make up the wings as on the owl like this, so they look right. But if you haven't got tracing paper lying around as well, which is obviously something quite random to have at home, you can try using some baking paper, or failing that, you can even cut out the shapes on your template sheet, so all these primary and secondary feathers, you can cut them out the sheet, and then you can use the negative space to draw that shape onto the paper as well, just in case. So there's options, whatever you've got. Also some tape. So I've got some masking tape, quite thin, but again you can use any tape you like really. It's just to hold down the sort of shapes as you go so they don't move around, and you can, nice and stable on the table for you. And another important one is glue. So I use Yoo-Hoo, that's my main go-to glue. It's a really nice, easy glue to use. It sets pretty fast, you can still move around, it doesn't set instantly, and it's quite safe on the paper. But whatever you've got lying around, feel free to use. And then that is pretty much it. It's quite simple. This is obviously just for making the wings and the tail. The body itself on these owls, these are hand cast by me from an original wooden carved body. But I can't get to the studio at the moment, so I can't make these. And I can't ship them out, I'm afraid. But what you can do is obviously create your own bodies at home. Now you can do this with any sort of modelling clay you might have. You can even do it with wire, tape, and kind of, I've got birds here actually to show you loosely. So this little guy is going to be a blue tit when it's finished, but the actual body itself here is made from tape and wire. So there's wire underneath it to build up a skeleton, and it's got a skin of tape on top. You could do a similar thing actually for the owl's body, and I might do a little tutorial on how to make the bodies as well, a bit further down the line once you've gone past the wings and tail of the owl. So you can try that. We won't worry about that for now. Our main focus is to cut lots of paper feathers, okay, like these little guys. And we've got two different types of feather we're going to cut for the owl. So you've got the front view of the owl, you can see. So the very front, there's quite a lot of texture on the front of the wings there. Now those are deep cut feathers, and they have a lot of texture. They lose their shape of the feathers and they all blend into each other. Whereas the back of the wings, you can see in this light actually, it's a bit hard. You can see it's a shallower cut, and the feathers keep their shape more. So that's a bit more of a shapely feather for the backs of the wings, so you keep the shape of the owl. Okay, so there's two different types of feather we're going to go through now, and I'd like you to practice these, because it does take a little while. You want to get it straight away, and you don't want to go sticking, feathers you're not happy with onto your finished owl, and then look back at the end and go, the last ones I did were really good, I wish they were all like that. So hold out, make a nice pile, compare your first and your last ones, and then send me a picture as well actually, and we can compare, contrast everyone's feathers together, and then from there we'll start to go into constructing the actual wings and the actual flight feathers first, before we lay all the feathers on top. But I think practicing is a good starting point. So let's grab scissors and paper. Okay, so what you need is your scissors and your paper. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the paper, your sheet of paper, into strips, and these strips relate to how big you'd like your feathers to be. Now initially I'd recommend a slightly larger feather for you to practice on, and also you can get smaller and smaller and more detailed as you get more, as you get better really at cutting paper. So we're going to cut strips, and the strips you make them about 2 centimetres to 3 centimetres in width, okay? So you're going to cut nice strips out, and what the strips allow you is to work your way down the length, and as you work down it, you're going to cut a similar sized feather each time, because you've got obviously the height of the paper to go by. So I'm going to cut a few now, and you can kind of see what sort of shapes I cut out, and then make a nice little pile of them. And they're quite simple, so they're going to be almost like rounded little leaf shapes really. Okay, similar to this. So your shape you're going to cut out is going to be like this. Okay, rounded at one end, flat at the other. Alright? And you're going to work your way all the way along this row. Okay, that to one side. You've got a nice little pile then of shapes. Okay, I'm going to split these in two. I'm going to show you one pile cutting the deeper cut feathers, and the other pile the shallow cut. Okay, so the shallow cut initially, we're going to do that one. So you've got your feather shape. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure when you pinch this top corner between your finger and thumb. Don't know why I don't use this finger, it's kind of useless, it sort of sits on its own. Like pinch between finger and thumb, and I make sure the rounded tip faces me. Okay, so that faces you as you're cutting. The next important finger is the one below your pinching fingers, whereas this is where your scissors are going to rest. And you're going to always have your scissors resting on that finger. Okay, that's important because you don't want your scissors moving. If you change the angle of your cut, you're going to cut through the whole feather. You want to keep your angle of cut exactly the same because you're going to go quite quick and you're going to work your way all the way around that feather, fringing the edge of it. Now, you're going to create a little machine with this pair of scissors, and you're only going to use the very back of the scissors here, and you're just going to do short little sort of twitches like this with your hand. Okay? Like that. And that's going to rest on your finger while it's doing that. And you're not going to move the scissors at all. The scissors stay in place, and you're just going to twitch like this. And then what you're going to do, you're going to use your pinching fingers, and you're going to turn. So I'm going to show you that. You can turn the paper through the scissors while you're cutting. So that, twitching, scissors aren't moving, I'm moving the paper through the scissors as it cuts. Okay? You end up with a nice curl to the paper, you know, a nice feathery shape to that little shape. Okay? Now that is shallow cut, so that's the one that keeps the feather's shape. Go over the deeper cut in a second, but I'm going to do a few more of this and then you can watch as I go. Okay? So again, grab the top corner, rounded point of the feather facing you, scissors rested on your finger, and then start twitching. Again, another feather. Bring this one closer to the camera for you. Try and show you a better angle actually, it might help. So, pinch between fingers and thumb, round edge facing you, scissors rested on your finger, twitch, and pass the feather, or paper, sorry, through the scissors. So you get that nice feathery effect. Okay. And one more. I'm going to go slower this time. You don't have to go fast straight away. You can start slow. By going slow, you might just see it a bit better. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into the longer cut feathers this time. The longer cut adds more texture and sort of body to the fluffy chests on birds or the underside of the wings. And these you cut deeper because you want them to lose the shape a bit and you want them to blend into each other. So they kind of look like a fur almost. And you can actually use the same technique for fur. So if you want to make paper fur, do exactly the same as these. And use them for bears or hares or whatever you want to. Okay. So exactly the same technique. We're going to pinch top corner, rounded edge facing you, scissors again propped on your finger. And what we're going to do when you're cutting this time, you're cutting a bit longer. So you're not doing the same little twitches. You're doing a little bit longer cuts. Never close the scissors fully. Just do little longer cuts. And again, you're going to work up. You're not going to move the scissors, you're going to move the paper through the scissors and you're going to cut just a little bit longer each time. Okay, work your way all the way around. You'll probably see straight away there's a lot more curl on the paper itself. See that? A lot more curl and less shape to the feather. It actually looks more feathery. I prefer these nice fluffy ones. Right, let's cut another one. So again, pinch top corner, round your face, round facing you, scissors on your finger, I'm going to come a bit closer for you and slow it down. Can you see all that nice fluffy texture in there? Perfect. So that's your two different techniques really for cutting the feathers. Now you've got the shortcut, which are these guys here, and then you've got your longer cut, sorry, too high there, and your longer cut, this one. So you can see there's a lot more curl to this one here than this one here. And these are for the front of the wings and these are for the back of the wings. Okay, there's a slight difference. They started out pretty much the same shape, but you can see the difference in them now. And I want you to go away and practice these now. I want you to make nice piles of each. I want you to make lots of the short ones and lots of the long ones. And you want to practice on paper maybe that's not so good, that you're not going to use for the owl. You can do that so you don't waste it. And save the good paper when you got really good at it. And I want you to share your feathers with me as well, and everyone else. And if you just hashtag escape with feathers and tag me in it as well. So I'd love to see. You know, I think it's really nice when you find something that everyone can get involved with. You can escape a little. And, you know, you can actually forget about the worries of the world a little bit, even if it is for half an hour a day, something like that. It'd be a really nice thing to do. But yeah, I look forward to seeing. Thanks, guys.